guys, welcome back to the Backhanded Sickle Rider channel. Today we have a special video. So this is the very first ever interview I've actually done with anybody. It was with a guy named Clint Young. He ended up appearing at a pop expo in Fargo, and I decided to take my nephews and my kids because I found out when I was looking at the lineup that they had the 1966 Batmobile there. And I thought it would be cool to be able to kind of let my kids and my nephews experience that, being able to sit in a Batmobile or, you know, take a picture with the Batmobile and stuff like that. I thought that would be really cool. It was something I always wanted to do when I was younger. They didn't really have stuff like this around really when I was younger. If they did, it was in like bigger cities and things like that. So there really wasn't much around the smaller town areas and stuff. The first time I got to sit in the Batmobile, it was a 1966 Batmobile, and that was a handful of years back when me and my wife started going to Comic-Cons in Minneapolis. There was a couple that had a Batmobile that we got to sit in and everything. So being that this one was fairly close to home and my kids and my nephews hadn't experienced anything like that before, I thought it'd be cool. We also found out that there was going to be a Batman impersonator, which ended up being Clint Young. And I didn't really realize how long he'd been doing this or anything. So we had gone the first night and we had checked out the little Comic-Con Expo deal. We went and we met Clint and we got to take a picture with the Batmobile. I noticed he had some type of props and things like that laying out. I wasn't too sure if he just was selling props or what it was. I kind of looked at everything later when I got home. I kind of looked into it a little bit more in case we were going to go back at all the next day or whatever. So I ended up finding out that he actually made all these props and that he was a prop maker, and he had done that for many years, and then he was also a Batman impersonator for a very long time. I read the background story of him and him being able to kind of manifest his dreams of what he wanted to do when he was younger, of, you know, being able to sit in the Batmobile or touch the Batmobile, and then all of a sudden to being able to drive like 3 of the ones that were on TV, meeting the entire, you know, cast of the 1966 Batman series. And there's just tons of stories that you'll see here today when I show you guys the interview. Stuff to do with Evel Knievel, Robbie Knievel, things like that. He even told me stories that I don't think made it on here because I think it was before I started recording when we were talking. But he even went and partied with the Lost Boys, cast of the Lost Boys and everything like that, and they all got to ride in the Batmobile. So just a bunch of cool stories. And so after I read kind of all this stuff, I thought it'd be really cool. I've been kind of thinking of a way to do an interview that would kind of go within the guidelines of kind of like what my content is and stuff like that, or what my interests are and stuff. And then I also found out he liked motorcycles and things like that, so I thought that'd be perfect because Batman, motorcycles, you know, you couldn't hit it that much on the head really. So I decided to go back the next day, and I didn't know if he would do the interview or not. I was just gonna kind of take a shot in the dark, and so I ended up driving all the way back, which was almost an hour drive there. And it was like right at the end of the day. So they were just going to be getting done. I think they had maybe like an hour left or something by the time I got there. And it was raining and storming. My windshield wipers broke, so I was having bad luck on the way there and a little bit on the way back. I was hoping anyway that he would take the time to do the interview. So I went there and I ended up catching him before he was leaving and everything. They had kind of cleaned up some stuff around his area, and he wasn't in costume anymore and stuff like that. And that was another thing that threw me off too, because like you look at him as Adam West Batman, and you look at him and what he looks like in person, you wouldn't think he looked like underneath the costume and everything. Like you see an Adam West Batman, and then you see a guy that looks like he rides motorcycles, has long hair, and wears bandanas and stuff like that. You know, like my kind of people to a T pretty much, which was pretty funny. So it was cool to get to meet him, and I ended up coming up and asking him. So he decided to do the interview and everything. We had a lot of fun talking about stuff, and the interview ended up going a little bit longer, I think, than I had originally planned. But he seemed to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. It was really cool getting to meet him, talk to him, you know, get his perspective on things, see what kind of detail that he took in all this stuff. Like he takes an insane amount of detail in not only the props but also the detail in the suits, and you'll see that also in this video and everything. And I'll be sure to link all of his stuff in the description so that if you guys want to order props or anything like that, or if you guys want to contact him for anything, or he's got tons of stuff. He's done props for Star Trek and Batman, Green Hornet, things like that, all kinds of stuff. So definitely check his stuff out. Like I said, I'll put it all in the description below. I'll include some pictures and stuff I got from his website and things like that to help kind of show you guys the detail that he puts into everything. Something that I didn't even really know is he said that there was like 6 different belts alone that Adam West wore, and he makes every single one of them. And just you'll see all this through the interview itself, but it was really cool just hearing the stories and things like that in the background stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is my first interview. Hopefully you guys think I did okay with it. I had a good time doing it and a good time meeting him and everything. There was also, before we start off, there was also another guy there that I met that travels or does Comic-Cons with him sometimes, and that was Johnny Green. And he ended up being in the actual TV show, and he played Joker's henchman. So I'll throw in some pictures too to kind of show who he is, but he had a band and everything. Those guys got to be in the show itself, and so when you go and if you go back and watch this, you'll see the guys with the green hair, and there's like a band of them, and he's in that one. I'll show you the picture and everything. Johnny Green also had a lot of different accolades that he had kind of done over the years too that I had no idea of. I wanted to interview him, but I didn't really have enough time to at the time, and I started to interview Clint, and then by the time we got done, it was kind of time for them to pack up and get going and things like that. But I did talk to Johnny for a little bit, and it was pretty cool to hear the stuff that he had to say. He was even in a Rolling Stones book that just came out. They mentioned him, and he had toured around with all types of people. He was in Life magazine. He also toured over 100 countries. He played for the President and First Lady of the United States, Kings of Constantine of Greece, and the Shah of Iran. He also got to tour with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, which was pretty cool. He was featured in concert with Bob Hope. He played obviously on the TV series, the Batman 1966 TV series, as one of the Joker's henchmen. He was a top attraction also in Las Vegas. The girl that you'll see in the show too with him that also has green hair and stuff like that, I believe that was his wife. So a bunch of cool stuff that he's been through too. It was really cool getting to meet both of these guys. I guess Johnny Green, he actually lives in Bismarck, which is a few hours away from where we are, so that's kind of cool. And I'm glad that this all worked out, because the last time that Clint was in our area was back in like 2016 or something like that, and I believe that was out in Bismarck too, so it was a lot longer trip. So I'm glad everything worked out how it did, and I think it turned out pretty cool. So I won't hold you guys up anymore. So hopefully you guys like this, and here is the interview with the 1966 Batman impersonator Clint Young, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Alright guys, welcome to the Bat Tatted Sickle Rider channel. I'm here with the Batman for the Fargo Expo. He is known for dressing up as Adam West from the 1966 Batman series. His name is, would you like to introduce yourself?
Bruce Wayne. No, it's Clint Young.
Clint Young. And so we have a couple questions for him here today. First off, is it your first time being here in Fargo, North Dakota?
Actually, no. 15 years ago, I was at ValleyCon.
Okay. Yep.
They had me in there, and Kevin Sorbo was the guest.
Okay.
But I don't remember what that was, though.
Yeah, usually they have it, I think, down in the Ramada down there sometimes. Okay. So what got you into Batman originally?
Well, you'll never believe it, but it was all by accident. Batman, I remember when it came out when I was little, and I just fell in love with the show, and it was my favorite show of all time, and it still is. But anyway, I moved to California in 1984, and I was taking acting lessons because I wanted to be an actor, and then I eventually wanted to be a director. That was my goal. So while I was taking these acting classes, I got offered the job to play Batman, the TV version. It was only supposed to be for 2 weeks, and I thought, God, that's my favorite show, you know. Wow. I took it. And the 2 weeks became 3 weeks, became 6 months, it became 10 years. I've been doing this 36 years now. So this 2-week job never ended, and I'm 36 years later, I'm here in Fargo, North Dakota.
Nice.
That's how I got into Batman.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so the way I got into Batman, obviously a little bit later than you, was around the 90s. 89, you had Michael Keaton come out, and in around 92 or so, you had Batman the Animated Series with Kevin Conroy. So those were the two that kind of roped me into it. And then, yeah, just like you, everything's been like Batman pretty much since then. So even the channel here, you know, has references to Batman and my love for motorcycles and things like that.
Well, speaking of the 89 movie, I got to go to the World premiere with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Oh, really?
In Hollywood.
Nice.
And when I got in the theater and sat down, the 2 rows in front of me were still empty. But lo and behold, guess who comes walking in? Michael Keaton and his son, he had this little boy,
Really?
sat right in front of me. But the kid, you know how seats are staggered kind of, but the kid was right in front of me, and he wore these donkey ears that were like this tall. So my memory of the 1989 movie is looking through his ears, because they were in the way of the screen. So I was looking through his ears. So to this day, when I see donkey ears, I think of 1989 movies. But it turned out they were bad ears.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was being like his father.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, I got my nickname Batman for a little embarrassing story. I used to dress up like the 1989 Batman. We would do skits and everything out in the yard. And but I was around 5 years old or 4 years old at the time, and I had trouble keeping. As soon as I put the Batman mask on and the cape, I was in character. I wouldn't say anything, wouldn't do nothing, and then, but I also had trouble keeping clothes on at the time. So one time I hopped up on the, we had like a little fence kind of in between, and my neighbor was like, "Hey, Buckaroo, what are you doing?" And I go, "I'm not Buckaroo, I'm Batman." And I whipped open, and I was stark ass naked with cowboy boots on. So I had to wear my black cowboy boots with it, and then the Batman get up, and so everyone started calling me Batman after that. So that was my nickname, and it stuck.
Now, how come you, when you look over your coat, how come you didn't have the Batman suit?
Well, see, I didn't have that time. The cape didn't come with the suit for some reason, but it was a cape that attached to a cowl.
Like a cowl. Yeah, I remember those.
Because that was another thing too. I could never find like really good, because I'm picky with detail too, like yourself. I noticed, and so if it doesn't look right, I won't really buy it.
Yeah, this car is screen active, right down to every label, every button, the exact clip for everything.
Nice.
When I bought it was missing a seat, and they didn't have all the labels again.
Really?
They had the seats made, and the seat labels were done off the hand, so I got 6 grand of it.
Wow.
Then I had all the correct labels made, and I made all the other stuff. So it's back to the way it used to look at 66.
And this was before.
Well, this is one of the fiberglasses that's cast off the Ford Futura. Because there was only one metal Batmobile, and then Barris made a mold of it.
Okay.
Then he made the fiberglass replica.
Yeah.
This is one of his bodies out of the mold.
Okay, nice.
So it's an exact copy of that Futura because it was molded on top.
Oh, nice. All right.
This is one of the original Titans.
Really? Yeah, I noticed all the buttons and everything. I know like when my son sat in it and everything like that, I just remember thinking to myself, like, if I was 6 years old and got to sit in a Batmobile, like that was just...
I would have died.
It was something that I never thought of, like, especially as a kid, because we didn't have things like this, very often, or nothing that came around our small towns. It was always kind of the bigger stuff, and so, like, now that I can take my kids to stuff like that, it's kind of cool, because you get to share those moments with them and everything.
Well, when I was first through 12th grade, all 12 years of school, I used to sit around and daydream. One day I'm going to touch the Batmobile. I didn't dream about owning it. I didn't even dream about driving it. I just wanted to see it and touch it. And that went on to graduate. And then I moved to California, like I said, in '84. Suddenly I'm driving and touring with him and playing Batman. And all I ever wanted to do was touch it.
Yeah.
And then I bought one.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And even at one of the Comic-Cons, I was able to even meet Kevin Conroy for the first time too. So that was my first Batman that I ever met, and that was pretty cool. So did you ever get a chance? You said you got a chance to meet Adam West, correct?
Yeah, I met him before I became Batman. I knew him since 1984 or 5.
Okay, nice.
Because I was a Star Trek dealer, and I went to all these conventions, and Adam West was a guest at the time. So I went backstage and met him and took a really nice photo of us. Turns out we're the same type.
Oh, really?
Yeah, over side by side, and it's like that. And then I became friends with him, and then I think 2 years later, in '86, 2 years later, I was playing Batman.
Really? Nice.
He himself said that I was the only one that looked like him from 1966. And he said I was the best Batman impersonator that he's ever seen.
Nice. You had mentioned something about prop making?
Yeah, I started out as a prop maker before I got into doing this. I was making Star Trek props. And I went to Star Trek conventions and other type of sci-fi conventions every weekend of the month or year for 10 years. I was traveling the whole Star Trek circuit. I got to hang out on the sets of the movies, on the Next Generation and all that. But then I got into the Green Hornet props, Space 1999, But I started out with Star Trek.
And I notice you sell a lot of these props too, so you make a lot of these yourself?
I make all of them. If you go on my website, everything on there I make.
Okay,
I've been making since the 80s.
Okay.
So I have 2 careers. I've been a prop maker for 36 years. I've been a professional batman for
Have you ever made any props for either the show or any of the characters?
Yeah, I was a Star Trek property master on Star Trek New Voyages. And I made props in there. I made the Green Hornet mask in the movie, what's that movie with? No, I'll think of it. He's a famous actor.
Seth Rogen?
No, not that one.
Not the new one? Okay.
It was a different movie, but I can't think of the guy's name, but I will. Anyway, I got into the props, and then I got into that. But I do both.
Okay, cool.
Batmobiles mostly in summer and fall, spring. In the winter, I don't do shit.
Okay.
But the prop thing's year-round.
All right. And I noticed, I think I read on your website somewhere you actually made a belt for Adam West at one point?
Yes, and I have a picture on my website of me handing it to him.
Okay.
That was in 1989.
Oh, really?
In California, yeah.
Okay, nice.
He called me up one day at my house. My girlfriend and I were just laying around watching Clint Eastwood movies. The phone rings. And it's Adam West. And I was just blown away.
Yeah, that's great.
What do you want? I mean, I don't even know how he got my number.
Yeah.
And he said, I need a utility belt. Can you make me one? I go, oh, yeah. So I did, and then we met at a film shoot at Colby Studios, and they took him up in the parking lot to the back of my truck, and I gave it to him, and the guy took pictures of me.
Really?
Yeah, it's on my website.
Yeah, yep.
CYProductions.com.
Yep. I'll make sure to stick that down in the description below, so be sure to check that out. So another thing I was wondering too yesterday when I met you was, did you come up with your own costume, being you kind of create the props, or did you buy that from a specific place?
When I got hired to play Batman, I ran into a guy who owned a perfect Adam Westenberg costume, and then I got the patterns from him. His wife gave me all the patterns because I told him I was a professional Batman. And I did make my first costume, and it's about 80% accurate, 85%.
Oh, really?
It was very accurate.
Yep.
But it wasn't good enough for me because I'm a perfectionist.
Yep.
I want the same material. If they tape the sticker on, then I want it taped on.
Yep.
Everybody else suits things on. That's not the way I want it. Or they put vinyl ones on. That's not the way I want it. They were
Yeah.
They were spray proof coated. Just gave it the shine. And on the back is double stick tape. Nice new original one. Tape on it. Anyway, I got the original patterns, and then I hired seamstresses to make my costumes. And then I took a pair of Adam West original boots that were still a Western costume. They made all the costumes for the TV series. But my friend worked there, and he called me one day and said he found some Batman parts. So I went in and looked it up. So I talked to him and let me borrow the boots. I took him to a Hollywood boot maker, and then he made patterns of them, and then my very first pair of boots. And I got all my boots from him, very exact copies of Adams, right down to the sole. Nobody knows this, but on the back of Adam's sole, there were billions of diamond shapes. There were diamond patterns. And this boot maker was still able to get that same rubber sole from me.
Oh, really?
So my boots have that same sole as Adam's.
That's nice.
So that's why my costumes are perfect. But I make the utility. And I make all 9 versions of Adam's utility.
Oh, really? Nice. So, getting to the motorcycle portion, I also have seen that you had Evel Knievel at one point in this car as well.
Yeah, that's another amazing story. I live in Billings, and I would drive around my Batmobile because I drive around town. Sometimes I would daydreaming at a red light. I used to think, God, it would be so cool if I could give Evel Knievel a ride in this someday. And then I think it would be cool if Bobby could jump over it someday. 3 years later, this is proof that you can manifest thoughts. Because 3 years later, the phone rang one day. I picked it up, and I said, hello. And the guy on the other end said, is Clint Young there? And I said, speaking. Who's this? And he said, this is Evel Knievel. And I just laughed. And I said, yeah, sure it is. I go, who is it? I thought it was a friend making a joke. Because he knew I liked Evel Knievel better than my friends did. He goes, no, this is really Evel Knievel. And I'll bet your ears wrong. That's what he said. So when he said that, I was listening, and I realized it really was him. So I said, well, what can I do for you? And he said, well, I understand you own a Batmobile. And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, Are you familiar with Evel Knievel days? This is a big motorcycle rally. It's like a mini Sturgis, but it's huge. It's not as big as Sturgis.
Yep.
And he have a parade every Friday night, and it was a motorcycle parade. He would lead the parade on his Harley, and you could be in the parade as long as you were on a bike. It didn't matter what kind. It had to be a gas-powered bicycle or motorcycle.
Yep.
So there'd be like thousands of motorcycles following me around the loop in Butte. It took about 20 minutes.
Yep.
But anyway, one year he calls me that day, and he says, my health is really bad. I can no longer hold my bike. And he said, this is a quote, I would be honored if you would drive me in your Batmobile and we'll lead the motorcycle parade. And I thought, wow, I was just blown away because that was like something I'd been thinking about for 3 years.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I said, yeah, okay. And he goes, I'll give you $3,000. I want you to bring the Batmobile to Butte. I don't want you telling no news, no press, nobody. Because I want it to be a surprise the moment it happens.
Yep.
I want to walk out, get in your car, and we're going to go. But he told me on the phone, because it's going to be my last hurrah.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized he didn't have much time left.
Yeah.
So if you look at that 8x10, you can see the oxygen tubes in his nose.
Yep.
And they have the oxygen tank right in the floor there.
Oh, really?
And then he died almost a year later. It was his last hurrah.
Yeah.
So I'm the last man on earth that ever drove into any plane.
That's
And
pretty
it was in this car.
Yeah. That's
But
pretty
he signed the dash for me.
You did, huh?
And 2 years later, I got hired to drive Adam West in the plane in Austin, Texas. So I got Adam to sign it. So I have the only Batmobile on earth autographed by Adam and Eve.
You said his son ended up jumping the car.
Oh yes, yeah, that night, I forgot the story. Thank you for reminding me. This is a double whammy story. So right after the parade ends, we get to the bar where they told me to stop, and all his security entourage just comes rushing out. They open the door and they whisk him away. Just wham! And then this big bodyguard, I watched him walking around the front, and I had just got out of the car. And he come up to me and he goes, I thought I was in trouble. I just, oh fuck. Because I knew he was with me, and he goes, Robbie's going to jump over your Batmobile tonight. And he walks off.
Really?
And I'm like, oh my God. Because I used to think about that.
Yeah.
So both them happened that night.
That's crazy.
And there was a picture in Sports Illustrated, a 2-page story.
Really?
Flying over that.
That's pretty cool.
There were big flames too. They had 55th flame.
Yep. I think I saw the picture you have on your website.
Yeah, and then they had the Batmobile before the flame. He flies out of the Batmobile and they shoot the fire out and he goes over that. We made a perfect landing that night.
Really?
Then I got to get both of them that night. Took pictures with them and they walked out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good story. So as far as motorcycles, like how long have you been into the kind of motorcycles? Because I've seen on your
Forever.
deal that you have. Well, I tried looking at it, but you're going to be adding some like Harley pictures of your Harley.
Yeah, I have a 95 Softail Custom.
Okay.
You know, it's funny, before I drove you on the parade, I was in Butte, Montana one day, and I was on the Harley. I rode up there just for a bike ride. I stopped into the bar he used to go to. It's called the Tavern, Met Tavern.
Yep.
I was having a beer, and I drank the beer, and I thanked the bartender. And he goes, where are you going? I got heading back to Billings. He goes, better stick around a little bit. And I said, yeah. He leans in so nobody could hear. He goes, Evel Knievel's on his way here, and he'll be here in about 5 minutes. I said, really? And I go, yeah. He goes, yeah. And I go, you think I could bring my car in here and have him sign it? Oh, sure. He goes, the bartender just opens the 2 doors. He goes, bring it in. I wrote it in. And he goes, Evel always sits in his chair. He's been sitting here since the 70s. Don't sit in that chair, because I was sitting here.
Oh, really?
Just move over here, and then when he comes in, don't say a word or bother him until he's halfway through his beer. So I just sat there, ignored him, watched out of the corner of my eye. When I saw the beer was half full or empty, I turned to him and I said, hey, Evel, how's it going? I go, do you mind signing my Harley? Sure. Anything's not doing anything. So he finished it. I already had him marked with me. The bike was right at the bar with me.
Really?
Like my horse going to the bar with me. So anyway, he signed the thing.
Yeah.
And then about a year later, I was having it here. Really signed you.
That's crazy.
It's right.
It's crazy how it all kind of connects together like that.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, do you have like any favorite experiences like throughout the entire career? Like, is there one that kind of sticks out above the rest, or?
There was so many. it. And there's so many with celebrities, but do you want to hear a scary one?
Sure.
This one I don't tell often, but I was in San Diego driving my Batmobile. We were going down the 405 freeway. And you know, you've been to California? It's bumper to bumper traffic, non-stop, but it all moves at a fast speed, like 75 or 80. Well, we're talking this far apart on every car. So if one guy stops, if it pops, you got to learn to go with the flow. So I'm driving along in the Batmobile, and this idiot comes up next to me, and he just stares at me, and he freaks out. I can't get away from him, I can't slow down the speed up because I'm trapped in the flow. All of a sudden, because he's in his car, he lets go of the wheel, he turns around, he puts Keaton in the back seat. Now we're all doing 75 miles an hour, he's not watching, and the car's going, and there's no hands on it. But the guy in front of him would have stopped, the guy would have been dead.
Alright guys, so that was the interview with Clint Young, the 1966 Batman impersonator. There was a small bit left on the end. For some reason the camera that I had decided to stop recording, so about like the last maybe 5 to 7 minutes or something got cut. He had shared a story about, you know, people notice that you're driving the Batmobile or have the Batmobile, that people are they're trying to take pictures while they're driving and they're kind of all over the place. And he had said that one guy, I believe was on a motorcycle, ended up going off road even, and he ended up landed right in a graveyard or something like that. And he's like, after I found out that the guy was okay and everything like that, he said he liked to make the joke that, well, if the guy did die, he at least landed in the right spot because it was a graveyard. But so anyway, so there was that. I kind of told him a story I had similar. I had a Ford Mustang that I kind of decked out with some of the stuff from the 66 Batmobile stuff to kind of make it a little bit of a tribute to that. It obviously didn't look anything like what Clint has, but I used to get a lot of people commenting on it. I used to have a bunch of ha-has too, like on the side of the car, and Batman stuff on it. And so everywhere I'd go, there'd be people like taking pictures or like, you know, giving me thumbs up and stuff. And so I had a similar incident when we were coming back from the lake. There's these two guys coming behind me, they're swerving all over the road, and we're trying to figure out what they were doing. And here they were trying to take a picture of the car, and they almost ended up in the ditch or whatever. So there was that story that we were kind of sharing there. There was also another piece just at the end that I really wish would have stayed on there, because we had ended it pretty cool, and then he had one of his Batman battering props kind of, and pretended to hit me over the head with it or something as we were cutting away and everything. And so I wish I would have gotten that part, but I guess, you know, kind of learned the hard way. So next time I'll definitely check the equipment that I'm bringing and stuff like that, or get a better camera or something. But if I would have had this one probably would have had no problems. But anyway, again, I will link everything in the description below. I'll give you guys his Facebook, his website, and everything that you can order on and that you guys can check out. He's got pretty much all the stuff on his website, all the links and everything too. It looked like it shows the bio for him if you want to read a little bit more into it. It also shows everything that he makes as far as props. Like I said, there's Star Trek props, I think was, from what he said, was what he started out with. He's got Batman props, there's props for the Green Hornet, things like that. So yeah, I'll link everything in the bottom. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. This was my first ever interview of ever interviewing somebody really, so I hope I get a chance to kind of do some of this stuff again. It was fun for me to do. If you guys have any other similar experiences, like you've met anybody that's played Batman on TV or movies, or any other Batmobiles that maybe that you guys have seen or been able to sit in yourself, or have any type of stories that we would love to hear, be sure to comment below. So thank you guys for taking the time to check out this video. Be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss any upcoming content, and check out the other content available on our channel. We'll see you guys later. Stay safe and ride safe.